Let's see. It looks like we're okay now.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, baby.
It says we're streaming live on Facebook here on my end.
It does?
Yeah, it says
Okay,
live on Facebook.
yeah, but this happened before, so let me see. Oh, yeah, we're live. Okay, we're good. All right, good deal. All right, so we're going to go back here. All right, we're now live on Facebook. We got 6 people in the Zoom room. Hello, Dina, Helen Cron, Katie Indicro, Linda Winger. I'm going to go onto the phone now, and so I can pull up the comments on the Facebook Live. And then we'll get started. Yeah. All right, let's see now. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of energy, a lot of stuff going on. It's interesting watching everything. And if anybody's, it's from my opinion anyway, if you're smart, you're going to, just keep it all within yourself. the more I talk or get involved in anything, the more it gets effed up, Okay, we got 29 people in the Facebook room, and we got half a dozen in the sound is good. 36 people and counting. So let me give them a little bit more time. Let me say hello to everybody. Hello, Karen Starr, Lisa. What's going on? Stavanger, Norway. Michelle Good, Andrea Antico, Jill Nicholas, Romana Freitas. Katie's here. Stacy Lewis, Katarina De Armour, Ben Hausman, Gloria Gothard, Connie Ma. 42 people and counting. If these shows resonate with you, please share. Thank you for your continued love and support and contributions that allow us to do this, allow us to continue to do this. Morgan and I, from the bottom of our hearts and from the Soulogy energy itself. We have a special, usually when Rick and I get together, it's impromptu. Hey, you want to do a show? It's just like, and so, yeah, today was a day that I try to take off on Mondays, but I have no problem coming on for the right reasons. And Rick and I have done several shows. So welcome back, Rick, SoulSpeaks 5D. Thank you for sharing space with us today and honoring us with your presence.
Well, thank you so much as well, Todd, for having me back on. It's been a while, and I didn't know until you just said that you took Mondays off, or I would not have suggested have a show.
No, that's okay. I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it. We're actually
thank you.
This is our first abode, Morgan and I. We found this before she left last time, and it's our first house together. So we're actually she's a professional. I mean, like a AAA painter, and so we're transforming the place together and energetically aligning and creating and founding our little abode. And so no, it's not a problem at all. Actually, it worked out really good today. It's kind of a light day. So yeah. So yeah, man. So what's been happening? So you had a visit from your beloved. Now, where's she from? Is she from the States?
Yeah, she's from New York, Todd. Okay. Yeah, Sharon Piccola.
Yeah, I know she is. I went and looked her up. I don't get on that much, but I saw you make a post on in referring to her. I didn't know she was there, although I read something about that y'all were together. It seemed like y'all were together, but I don't know if you were talking etherically or not. But yeah, so she spent 2 weeks in Old Betsy with you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Gee, we had totally 5 or 6D timeline we were on for the most part. It was pretty peaceful, and we just disconnected there for I believe 2 or 3 days from the collective. And because, as you know, Todd, with these divine unions, it's very important. And what we do is, for anyhow, and with Sharon, in these unions, we don't try to plan or project. It's best to go with the divine flow and receive the instructions, right?
That's right,
because
man.
that's what's divinely supported with that.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
But we had a beautiful time, and
oh, that's excellent.
Yeah, we did, and
that's excellent
already.
Yeah, that's excellent. I mean, it's it's a big part of the of what we're all going through, this transition we call ascension. A lot of people have written about it. I mean, Judith Kuzel has written about it for years. A lot of people have, the importance of the physicality or embodiment of the Holy Trinity, the triad, the third energy, and the importance that the union is playing in the ascension.
Yeah, indeed. And it is so important. And we are in that new age with all of the energies involved. And as we know, and you and Morgan, it's something completely new to the humans, if you will.
Yeah,
I mean, we're still in humanoid form here, but
yeah,
we have activated and energized, our energy, and that changes everything in a relationship, and it heightens it.
yeah. It does. Yeah.
And
You, you still there?
and
Hmm.
Fry, and I openly said this before. I was not Yeah, I can see you.
You're cutting out. I think you're coming back. Let's see. We'll give it a second.
Yeah, yeah, you're coming back. Yeah.
Yeah, you're coming back. You cut out. Yeah,
Uh,
you were talking about well, when the couple comes together, there is a lot of energy. Well, an energy is produced, a third energy, and not to mention all kinds of. I'm just going to maybe, and you can just expand on it, but just from my point of view, or our point of view over here, there's a lot of things that are presented that are definitely multidimensional, including visuals of actually seeing the other person change into other aspects. We were talking about this before we got on the Facebook thing. 3 nights ago, it happened to Morgan and I. It was, to me, it was the most extraordinary event of my life. And her and I have had, I don't know the number, but I would say, at least several, 7, 8, or 9 different episodes, all different, and really dimensional experience in the physical body is what I would describe it as. I think.
yeah, yeah. Indeed, that's so beautiful. And as we just said before, I witnessed Sharon sitting on the other side of the table here, 2 times, 2 different nights. Yeah, she uh, her whole facial aspects just changed to when she was about 20 years old. And we were joking prior than that to that, because we were in love and having fun here. We said we're just like 2 17-years old. So
Yeah.
she said, "You sure it wasn't 17?" I said, "Maybe it was." And
Yeah.
but the next
Yeah.
night, she started. It occurred again. I believe it was the next night or shortly, a following night, not too far apart. That she went back, and I'm sitting back there before my eyes. She went back like she was going right back to, like, she looked like perhaps 14 years old. At that point, I said something, and because if she kept going, maybe she'd go back to a child. And I kind of said something to kind of break it. But yeah, it's very real. And
Hmm.
with that, you experienced it, and you see these different essences, as you said.
Yeah.
It's other multi selves that are coming
Yeah.
in, from your existence from all time. And when we have this heightened energy in these divine unions, this does create the magic. It is very real.
Yeah.
You witnessed it, Morgan.
Yeah.
I and Sharon perhaps did not see you know, go to the younger version, but she did. And
Well,
and
you
I
look a lot younger today. I don't know what you're doing.
well,
Yeah.
one of the
I
things
can't
I'm
even
so.
see a wrinkle on your face.
Oh,
But
thank you. Well,
but it,
no makeup either.
well, and it's not just the because I can tell you just real quick. I mean, just going on some of the episodes we had. The first one we had was in Georgia last summer, about 4 days after she got here, and we actually we were instructed to kneel on the bed, uh, and kind of hold hands and look at each other like would when you were having a ceremony,
Yes.
and for about 45 minutes, from the top half of our body, there was a lot of other things that happened, but one of the things that happened was we just morphed. We watched each other morph. We never said what we were seeing to each other, but it was the same thing the next day when we
Mhm.
talked about it, and watch each other morph into different human incarnations and then different off planet. And I'd have to say also off universe. incarnations, and each one of them, we knew each other. So it was interesting. We also saw some other things, but there's been other episodes like that. The thing that happened the other night, which was kind of interesting, it was the second time she was just laying down and I was just kind of caressing her back. It was pitch dark, which normally there's a little bit of light in our room, and it was pitch dark. And sometimes when these things happen, a little light will come in from the head of the bed where there's no window or anything.
Yes.
But I was, the way it started was I was just caressing her back. We were going to sleep. And all of a sudden I saw like a band of light go down my arm. And then my fingers lit up this blue white light, and it kind of like shot out from my fingers. And I was like, oh, I guess we're not going to sleep. But the other thing that was really interesting is I was looking at her back, and remember, it was pitch black, and there was light language all across her back. And I told her the next day, I thought you were going to start speaking light language. And she said that she was hearing it or getting that urge, but that she knew she didn't need to for some reason. And then I realized, well, I was reading it and I was getting that transmission from the universe, through this experience. And I guess that's why, she didn't go into the light language, but so it's,
she read it from you. It was being transferred in that loop. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Amazing.
It is. Yeah.
There's been a lot of stuff going on. I mean, we've seen different levels, I guess, or different phases as we've gone through, especially the last few months. There's projecting and chaos and acting out. We're all part of that, and I know that's been prevalent here in the last, I don't know, it seems like a lot of this year, really. But the energy continues to move fast, and it looks to me like people are processing it faster and acclimating with it quicker and coming out on the other side of it with less judgment upon themselves for what they may have said or done, and just getting past it and beyond the illusion and going forth with the mission that we're all on.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. In rising above that, I wish to make a comment there, what you had, when you said about the experiences you and Morgan have, that are, we can call them interdimensional or multidimensional, which are very real. And I totally concur and confirm that. But what I wish to say, it's indicative of your deep love that makes this. This is the power. You may have some negative things, little things in your field, but because that love you and Morgan have for each other, that is the key to get out of these dimensions. And this is what we're working on. But the thing with this, Todd, as I said, I tried to get out of this mundane world a while ago, but Father said, no, you got to stay and watch the show. But the key out of here is love and letting go of all the negativity and the fear. Then you get your powers, indeed.
Yeah, that's a great point. I'm glad you brought that back up. We've obviously been on this path, Morgan and I, and our third energy is Soulogy. And so been trying to, since January 1st, been trying to create this website and stream independently, and a lot of things have been accomplished, but it's still not there. And she reminds me, quite often that when we first had this, when Soulogy first came to us last summer, and that's when we had the different incarnations, morphing and all that, told us that to be with each other, three things: be with each other, love each other when you're together, and broadcast, and to keep it that simple. And of course, my mind, the masculine doer, creator, wanting to put it together and frame and it's taken some time for me to surrender and allow the universe to let this happen in whatever means it sees fit, knowing that whatever's coming is good or better than anything I could imagine or we could imagine. So that simplicity is that pure love, and I realize that now, and it's making my life easier.
Indeed. And Todd, with that, there is that divine timing, as you and Morgan both saw, in creating this, that we know what we want to have, but sometimes we must wait. And it's because, again, of the overall collective consciousness and the vibration of Gaia overall. And with that, it's done incrementally. So, you know, we know how to ascend the other dimensions and get out of here, but yet with the overall divine plan, we're not allowed. And, that's the perspective that I get until the rest go. And, the last, what Father had told me, he said, no, he who tries to go first goes last. So I got down at the bottom here and try to assist as many upward as I can. So,
Yeah.
we all go together with it. So
Yeah.
we do know it's real. The higher we go, we're getting more confirmations of the magic, and that it is real. And some of the things with the ones that I've been speaking with and teaching in the past several months is, we're trying to work on a quantum financial system, a divine financial system, and uh, so that we can access an energetic money from another dimension, if you will, to try to keep it simple. And we are seeing, in the beginning, some confirmations of that come to fruition. But what occurs, Todd, is you need the belief. You need everyone together to create that. So if you have a few, you'll get a few of these transactions. But if you have the larger the group in the unity all doing that, we are at such a level now that yes, we can create it and bring it into fruition. It's not a myth. It is the reality. We're given back, our co-creator status, but it's what we are, and it's part of our mission, what we're here to do to ascend the others, marginally into these other realities. And everything is possible with this. Again, as you saw with Morgan, your recent experiences. It's all very real,
Yeah.
and it is tangible. We're that close to it.
Yeah.
Indeed.
It really is. And I think that too, the other thing that's happening is for each one of us individually. I mean, there's a reason we're here. Obviously, we're here to
Totally.
to help transform ourselves, the earth, the universe. I call it a universal correction. I think we're correcting so many things in so many different dimensions and timelines and universes and so on.
Agreed.
But we're still here, and I'm Todd, and you're Rick, and you're Rick, and she's Sharon, and she's Morgan, and there's something to be said for that. The human is the hero. I mean, we are what you're saying is, what's so close is that divine human personified, embodied, and we so many of us, and I don't put myself so much in that category, but people like you and Morgan and other people that are have been channeling, downloading for years and years and years, all these different aspects and all this different stuff. And I think part of what's happening, what I see happening anyway from the chair I'm sitting in, is people having to embrace themselves. Like I was Joan of Arc, or I was this, or I was that, or I connect to Kuan Yin, or whatever, or I'm this galactic or that. But at the end of the day, it all runs through the divine human being. And it seems to me that it's all predicated, whatever occurs to us is predicated based on how much, I'll use myself as an example, how much I honor, love, and respect Todd Medina, and that's really like, that's like, it's like the dog chasing its tail. We got to the end of the game and it was like me all along, right?
But it's so important to do that. Now, I'll share with you. I do say prayers every night, and I end my prayers with the last statement. And I love myself, and
Yeah.
so it is. And because
Yeah.
it is so important, and to keep your energetic field in balance. If you don't love yourself, it is so important. It may sound crazy, to someone that's not awakened, but because I'm reflecting back to before I was awakened here, and in my most human state. Yeah, anyone said that to me, I'd say, you're nuts, brother. You got
Yeah, I would have
bunch,
too.
yeah, yeah, you're conceited. You got an ego problem, and
Mm,
all of those. But it's so funny now because it's so important, and it is a prerequisite of sorts. So
yeah.
it's
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a have to. I mean, it's a have to. Somebody was on here the other day, and I can't remember who it was, and they really put it really well. And it was somebody who was definitely known, and I can't remember. That's 3D memory, but multidimensional, powerful, high vibrational. And they said something like human is here, but they came back to it and they said, but everything begins and ends, with whatever their name was, Todd Medina, the human. That's it. I mean, why would we be 99% conscious in the physicality, you know, uh, with, faded memory or some memory of these multidimensional aspects? Uh, it's like, it's an amazing paradox, but yeah, I think that's, to me, what I'm observing from this chair is, and even in myself, if I start to look at someone else and I start to say, why are they doing that, or this or that about them? What is the deal there? It's really about me. If I'm uncomfortable with something, there's something in me that's not screaming, but projecting out of me, saying, hey, I'm part of you too, love me too, don't disassociate yourself from yourself, basically. I mean, it's all about us, ourselves, and that's, I think that's just something none of us can get away from.
yeah, yeah, indeed. No, you need to do that. And I was speaking with a very valuable high consciousness divine comrade, perhaps an hour ago before the show, and one of the aspects that she brought up for I, because she does assist I, here in the physical form. She said, Rick, sometimes perhaps you kind of forget that you do have this human aspect here yet. And because what I always focus on, as many will know, is getting everyone, giving them the bigger picture, and being a peer as such, where there is really nothing negative. I have no fear, and nothing really bothers me to that degree. But having said that, you know I'm still here in a humanoid form, and I do have effects on others, and things can get misunderstood, misconstrued, because we are in the new ages, and where the energies are coming online, things can get uh let's say what the divine comrade, what I was made aware of, is that, like, I'm an open person. I'm fully open. I cannot lie or be deceitful, and I'll be fully open with that. But the thing is, Todd, that sometimes some are not ready for that. But where I'm acting, from a higher place, a higher self, sometimes what I wasn't doing perhaps in the past is considering that things could be perceived by them in a different manner. Because what I see when I assist one, or whenever I'm with one, I look at one from the soul level, from their higher self and their higher aspects. And sometimes perhaps I may um, perhaps are not ready for that. So one thing I need to do is to bridge the gap a little bit back to the humanoid Rick while I'm still here and interacting with that. And I thank so much my divine comrades, for at this most auspicious time of mentioning that to me, because it's something that I overlook. I always look for the highest and put out the highest perspective. And so sometimes you could say that I take that aspect for granted in the past. So
Yeah.
we are in higher times, so I need to be more meticulous with that, and have that other understanding to bridge that gap. But as you know, I'm an all out, all light, give everyone everything, then
Yeah.
give them something to go forward to.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great point. There's several great points there. One, I would just say this. I've been, of course, doing what I've been doing for 7.5 years, you know, and Morgan and I going on 4 years now with that influence in the physical embodiment. And I've seen, I've always admired anyone, even if I don't resonate with them. Okay. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean, some things are more familiar to you than other things, more kindred to you, whatever you want to call it. But even people that I have come on the show, I don't resonate with everything or everything that they do, but I admire anyone, I really do, that puts it out there, because you put yourself, and I can identify with that. Morgan and I have can relate to that, under a lot of scrutiny. And the only thing I know that I've learned on a personal level is just to keep going, just to keep going and not engage those things that I don't have that I don't have the affinity for, that don't make sense, that don't align, or because we've only got so much energy. I mean, this takes so much energy. This last month, like March, we were separated the whole month of March, pretty much. She left on the 3rd. That was a big month, and even
Yeah.
into April. And I was doing the shows, and I wasn't even cooking anymore. And I was but I was taking care of myself. I was taking care of myself, and it took a lot of energy. There was a lot of dream state, astral traveling and work, and stuff like that happening. And I think that's something that a lot of people are coming into as well, and that is that alone time, whether you're in a divine conscious union or not.
Hmm. Yeah. No, it is so important as well, during the process and the development that's always ongoing, for sure. It is. And for the most part, how I fill the gaps, because I've been alone mostly, uh physically, and how I fill the gaps is I go online and try to assist someone, or get on the phone. But whereas Sharon was here for a couple of weeks, we were together pretty well every moment of that time. uh when she did leave, there was a void here, and I could still feel it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you miss that. And so I know what you were saying to those degrees as well. But again, the time that we have alone, it's so important. And especially, for I at this time to be, um, what I'm divinely doing is so important, that I'm able to not be so distracted to attend to what's currently happening, which is totally important for the overall collective. And because really what's occurring, right at this now, for the last week or so, it's so significant, and so auspicious for what's to come here soon. So you say I look younger, yeah, because I'm very happy, because I know what it means. To a lot that may not know what it means right now, it might seem like darkness and chaos, but no, I know what comes after this, and I know why it had to occur. So it's very beautiful. And Todd, I am so excited here for what's to come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's and I'm looking at these comments, and I'm a little bit I just let me just say this first of all. you know we're all in this together, and separation is separation. And more than ever, we need to be conscious of the things we think, obviously, and the things that we say, and the things that we do, and the fingers that we point. I'm just going to put it out there because of these comments coming in. We all need to remember the rule of the road in the ascension. It's never them, it's always me. We are that, and so it's a very intense time right now. I think that, like I said, I think anyone that puts himself out there, they have my utmost respect. Not that that necessarily means anything, but I'm just saying it takes a lot of guts. And being here, we're all valiant souls. We all came here to do something. We are the darlings of the universe. We are divine human beings. And this is the time for understanding. You know, seek to understand rather than trying to be understood. This is a time for compassion. This is a time for self-love, self-respect, self-honesty. And I'm going to go back to the same thing. If something is making you uncomfortable, and this seems to be, and I went kicking and screaming with this, you know, thank God for Morgan Lee, you know, and her patience and love and understanding, the divine feminine, you know, this is what is coming back into this realm and into this world. And it's a huge impact. It's a universal impact. And, you know, I always say, go easy on yourself and go easy on each other. And you handle your shift, I'll handle my shift, and we'll meet in the middle. Soul Highway.
Yeah, yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Todd, I'm perfectly open for anything because I don't conceal anything, and you know, so it wherever you wish to
Well,
take it, I'm open
I,
to.
I, I am just, let me explain. I should have given a backdrop. You and I typically will say, hey, you want to do a show? I haven't been on. I hit you up, I don't know, a month ago or something, and that happens to us too, and with other people.
Right? Yeah, yeah.
And then you hit me up last night, and I was privy to kind of what was happening. You made a comment in the message about it. What do you want to talk about? You want to talk about this? And I'm doing my very best to be totally respectful and allow you to talk about whatever you want to talk about. I admire the fact that you put yourself out there. I don't agree with everything that you do, but I don't agree with everything that anyone does. I don't agree with
Yeah,
everything Morgan
it's
does.
part of the process.
But
Yeah.
I know my role, our role. I know what Morgan and I's role is as far as this third energy, and it is an all-inclusive place, and everybody has a voice, and that is the goal. The goal is that one day we have 8 billion channels on the Soulogy.One network, and everybody has their own station. You know, I mean, you know, so I admire the fact that you would step up, and I admire the fact that you would say, I'm willing to talk about anything. I have too much respect for my fellow human being, you or anyone else, to lay that on them. So I'm not trying to throw the hot potato back at you, but
No, not at all. I understand. Yeah.
whatever you're comfortable with, I'm here to support that in the spirit of unity consciousness.
Exactly.
You know,
And I likewise. And you know, Todd, that's why I instigated, or not instigated, initiated, you know, this interview, you know, to uh, get some of the higher perspective out there, you know, in the event of assisting ones with what's going on. And because it is such a confusing time as well. And so, you know, it's I'm open for that. But also, you know, I knew you would remain neutral as you are, and that's what I respect, you know, as well from you and all the others, you know, to remain neutral and observe both sides of what's going on so you can get a better understanding. It's the value is in the learning from this most significant situation that is occurring, and that's what benefits the all. And that's what I'm about, and you as well, each in their own way. And so I have great respect for you with that, but I have great respect for everyone, whether they're uh, going to lynch mob me or if they're going to
yeah,
kiss me. It doesn't matter. I love
yeah,
them all.
you know, yeah, yeah, and you know, you said something there too, and I don't want to lose it. In other words, what's the message for me? Every one of us is, you know, Morgan told me a long time ago, the road to oneness is through the path of individuality. I'm Todd, you're Rick. You know, I mean, what is the message for me? What is the universe trying to tell me, regardless of what comes at me, whether it's my beloved comes and stays with me for 2 weeks in old Betsy, or whether I walk outside and somebody steps on my toe? You know, I mean, there's a message for the individual. And that's really where the transformation takes place at the gut level in the universe. It's through us. We are the universe. And my comment on the situation that we're not we're not tiptoeing around, but the situation as an energy, because I've experienced it. Morgan and I have experienced it. I told her about a week ago, I said, you know what? And I'm usually not the one with the intel. She is. I'll tell you straight up. I said, you know, I feel like it's there's a like a frequency or an energy of attack, or feeling that you're being attacked. And you know, it might just be called chaos. I don't know. But one thing I looked at, and even in myself, and it was even this morning, you know, I was looking at something and she said, why are you looking at that? And I'm like, oh yeah, because if I'm looking at it, you know, she has a saying, if you look for it, you'll find it. And
Indeed, I agree.
so if you look,
and you'll energize it.
if you look for the bullshit, you'll find the bullshit. But
Yeah.
what I look at is in myself, I looked at, because I've had, you know, I came out of an alpha male, you know, personality and all that stuff. And it's been a lot of work. And I was very competitive. And so therefore I was very disparaging of other people in my own mind. I would probably never say it, but like, I'm better than you, I'm going to win this game, or whatever the case is. But what I started to realize was that my judgment was casting the energy of separation. So whether I'm right or wrong, let's just use that term, because I don't believe for 1 second that either one of them exists. But whether I'm right or wrong, if I am judging the situation, I'm either establishing a level of superiority or inferiority with myself in something outside of me, which is just as significant as what the focus of the judgment is. Like, this person said this, or this person did that. That's not my circus, and that's not my monkeys. You know, that's not my shift over there. My shift is over here. So I just think that we all have to be very conscious of what we say and project towards others, because we are separating ourselves and creating a line of separation. We're separating ourselves from something outside of ourselves, and there's nothing outside of ourselves that isn't us. You know, so it's a tricky road. You know, it's a tricky road.
It is indeed, yeah, because you have, as you mentioned, the reflections. Yeah, it's what we wish to create, and we have the opportunity to create everything together. And and the unity is invaluable, and it's fundamental in this ascension, as we know. You know, everyone, when they're vibing high, you know, look at the magic that you see. Those are your confirmations. It's not guesswork with this. Many have seen enough confirmations now that you know, they are concrete confirmations. And indeed it is so important. And yeah, in the, you know, the higher consciousness, as you so brilliantly said again, is that there is no right nor wrong. It's the experience to learn from it, and to guide going forward, you know, with the, while we're still in these humanoid forms, with moralities and ethics, you know, the standard fundamentals of virtue. And and to have that, and to learn, you know. um, Also, a divine comrade said today, imperfection is perfection. It
Yeah,
depends on how you look at it, in your perspective. And if you look at everything, you know, that it's a learning opportunity, and that it's positive, it will be. But if
yeah,
you energize that, where each one is becoming stronger creators, if they energize it as a bad thing, yeah, they're going to create that. But the thing is also, which I need to say this, in these creational times, anything negative and based on fear, it's designed to implode. It's not divinely supported.
yeah.
And it will very rapidly, and it'll come crashing down, because anything of deceit and lies, and
Yeah.
anything not of
Yeah.
virtue, it will.
That's right. Morgan just put up a comment a while back. I saw it, and she says a lot. Anything that's not pure love will fade. away.
Yeah,
And
I totally agree.
that applies to every one of us.
Mhm.
And I go back to the pointing the fingers, and we're going to get to this because these comments keep coming up.
Indeed.
The but the thing is, look, we're not going to get to the spaceship, the universal spaceship, or heaven, or nirvana, or whatever the hell you want to call it. And I'll get back there, and somebody going to be able to look at somebody and say, "I told you I was right." Okay, so let me just say that, and then let's tackle this one. I'm not too familiar with the origination of this. I've seen quite a few comments here, and I think I saw some last night when you had said something to me, or today actually. And so I'm going to go ahead and read this one from our dear beloved sister, and who I know has followed you and worked with both of us, collaborated with me here in Soulogy, Katie and the Crow. I'm going to go ahead and give my answer to this, and then let you do whatever you want to do,
Okay.
just out of respect, so that it's not all on you. Okay, I'm not trying to hog the mic.
No, I know that.
So there's would love an answer to the Jesus question. So many likenesses drawn, and this is the platform for talking. So let's talk. When we talk about virtue, as Rick is, and we liken ourselves to highly loved figures, we got to be able to talk about that application. I'm going to give you my answer from the bottom of my heart. Every single one of us is Jesus. I'm Jesus, and I'm Magdalene. I am the equal. I am that. I am equal to the moon and to the sun and any part of the universe that expresses itself or shows itself to me. It doesn't matter what it is. Uh, you know, that's how I feel, and I don't know. That's from my universe. That's from my universe. I believe that the message of the Buddha and the Jesus and the Magdalene and the prophetesses and the priestesses that we don't know by name because they were suppressed and killed and so on and erased or from history, was that each and every one of you is that God, goddess, is that enlightened being. And I don't know about you, Rick, but I don't know of anyone on the earth that's been walking on water lately. So
Yeah.
I'm going to leave that to you and let you expand on that.
Well, basically what you said, Todd, is where I'm at. Jesus and Mary Magdalene, as you said, is in everyone as well as all the ascended masters. They are within you to the degree that you can access that essence. But again, with this Christ collective, as you said, essentially everyone is Jesus to the effect that they have the abilities of that.
Yeah.
And these Christ abilities are the abilities that take them out of this now. So saying I'm a Jesus, yes, I do. Same as Todd just said. And everyone that feels that should be saying that and acting perhaps in a likeness to that of virtue. Totally. If you don't own, and what Todd said earlier in the show, if you don't think you're something that, let's say, is a little bit bigger of you in the early stages, that you have something to grasp onto, you could remain stagnant, just saying, oh, I'm just a human, I'm just myself. It's great to have a point, that you can throw a grappling anchor out to haul yourself forward to. We are ever evolving. It does not mean that you're going to wake up with a beard or something like Jesus. It doesn't mean that at all. It's a temporary point to take you forward. You have your full divine sovereignty, each of you. You existed for all time at the conscious level and at the heart level. That's all that you are. But in this time of oneness, when you look at this and the Christ collective, yeah, you're all one and you are the Christ. And when it gets wonky is when you got this energy that is also your integrating essences from all times back into this now. And you're doing this while you're in a human form that had a limited perception things can get very confusing for you, but
Yeah.
still, you trust yourself, as you said, Todd, and you have that pivot point. Um, Not a pivot point, you have that point to go forward to. But what I basically teach is everyone just go right to their highest power, the Godhead, whatever they trust in. That is the quickest route. Then you don't get caught up in these other belief
Yeah.
systems here. Like there's
Yeah.
so many, and you don't need them. If you go to the right back to the head honcho or what have you, then you don't need these other threads,
Yeah.
and it's much quicker. You advance much quicker. You select your own higher power, be it God, be it a roll of toilet paper. It doesn't matter as long as it's a higher power that you consider at that time to take you forward.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, and somebody brought up a good point, Sasha Grace. We can get caught up in semantics and literal interpretation and tight definitions. But when, as I'm referring to a Jesus or Magdalene, I'm referring to an energy. And that was Sasha's point, Christ consciousness. I mean,
Yes.
I'll give you a quick example. When I woke up, I started getting, meeting disincarnated souls. And I started to realize that I could reach into the other side or whatever you call it. And so one day I laid on the couch and I said, well, what about Jesus? I mean, if I can, if this is a library, if this is the Akashic, I didn't know the word at the time, but what about Jesus? And Jesus popped in front of me. Now, I don't think I've ever said this on the air, but what happened was he began to tell me a story. He showed me himself in front of a cave. Mary Magdalene came out of the cave holding a baby. He told me the baby was me. And then it went on to this big story, and I wrote a book in 4 days, and I took it off the shelf after like 3 days. And I never said what I'm about to say, but this energy told me that I was his son, that I was their son. But I never went out and said, and I never believed that that was a literal thing. I believed it was some kind of multiple dimensional, far beyond my cognitive brain, its capacity to even come close to understanding. But the message was the energy. The energy was, you're not just this human being who's going to be worm dirt. You're not just this traumatized person. You are all of this. And I think many of us have had this evolution where we had spirit guides and we had, this or that divine essence. And we would reach out to them as if they were separate from us. And slowly but surely they began to embody within us, and we've all had these experiences and such. I think the other thing that comes to mind too, if I look at my own situation, in my own path, where I can look back at myself with compassion and less judgment. Therefore, that translates into my brothers and sisters from my point of view, which makes me more balanced. And that is that I am not who I was yesterday. I've been 3,000 plus productions and I've shown my ass more than once. And I can get up the next day and say, you know what, I learned my lesson. I just happened to do it in front of a bunch of people. So, I would throw that out there too, because we really are holding, if you're going to hold anyone to a standard, and I'm not here to defend you or the opposite of that. I'm just here to state what my truth is in a conversation. That's what we do on the show. But if we are creating standards for people, there is something within ourselves that is needing a hug, that's needing some love and recognition. Because if and that's one way I deal with it. I'll end it with this, but one way I deal with it is I'll go down that news feed and I'll see so-and-so and I'll see so-and-so. And I'm like, ugh, no, you know what? That doesn't resonate. That person makes me uncomfortable. And I know that's where the gold is. It's taken me a long time, to really try to live that. And it's not like you flip a switch and it's done either. It takes time and effort and commitment and conscious behavior.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, that was awesome. Thank you for that. Yeah. No, indeed. And one thing you mentioned earlier, which I like to just just do a comparison on a slight degree, you know, um, in respect to what you said, you know, about you and Morgan, there was some resistance when you're coming together and, you know, when you're together. And also, you know, that's what I experienced, what Sharon and I experienced with this one, this coming together as well. And it's, let me say, it is very interesting that when this occurs, it seems that there is some at sometimes an outside force that doesn't want this to occur. So, but it's there because it's in the belief systems as well that are upon, you know, the surface, and it's like an energetic imprint that also creates itself, and you know, ones will identify with that, and it can have many streams, and many other streams can be um, created to small degrees from that, and it makes it an entangled kind of a mess in the past. But because of so many things with this new age and more understanding coming with it, you know, together we're able to look at everything, resolve it, and then share all the information as a whole
Yeah.
instead of making, you know, have two separate entities making judgments on a separation. As you know, if things are concealed, well, you don't grow because it's kept within a box. So it's always best, you know, where I am, always be fully open, and you know, let's look at stuff, and it benefits all to have the same information and move forward with it, with
Yeah.
everything, with this, because we are in the great times. As you said, there's many uh you know, couples out there that are Jesus and Mary Magdalene, and it's so significant that they come together because, you know, you're only beginning to see a little bit of the magic that two of you, like you know, yourself and Morgan together, the magic you're being able to create outside. If you have, let's say, 3 million Jesuses and Mary Magdalenes coming together at this time, you can just imagine the immense energy, what will be emitted, and how it raises the vibration, and how it does take not only you, but your surroundings into the higher dimensions. And
Yeah.
this is truth. You
And
change it all.
and the infinite paradoxical beauty and intelligence of the universe is intact. The polarity is intact. Yeah. The thing I think that is important to remember too, if we talk about dark energy, you know, you know, we've all had our own path of understanding, evolve through this transition to this point. I firmly believe, after, you know, having many dark encounters, especially in my early years, many dark encounters, full apparitions, and so on, and
Mhm.
that these energies are created by us. It's that simple. Now, first and
Indeed.
foremost, if you've got a dark energy, uh, and we can get into all kinds of different stories, but you know, including, you know, being asleep and waking up with marks on you or whatever the case is.
Mhm.
Um, if you have the first place to look is yourself. The second thing is, and this is where we have to be, um, you know, we have to be vigilant in terms of our brothers and sisters, is that our energy carries force, whether we are out there doing the fluffy love and light, or we are saying, oh, that person did this or that person did that. That's why it's not always prudent. And I got a big mouth that I'm learning to keep shut more and more as time goes on. But that's why it's prudent sometimes not to say anything, because if
Mhm.
you do say something, you draw a bunch of attention to yourself, and it's not always good. And there's force in that. I don't care how strong you are, and I'm strong, but I've had some stuff come at me, and I know it's because of my own big mouth, you know. And I'm not saying that you said anything or didn't say anything. I'm just saying that we need to respect our energy that we're projecting towards other people, which we are rationalizing as right and wrong and judgment and this and that. Now, I think, you know, based on what's been happening, not even counting your situation, which I really don't know a whole lot about. I think one of the things that's a big factor over these last few weeks is that the masculine energy has come into its power, or that power has been made available.
Thank
And
you.
it has created a, there's good stress, bad stress. It's still stress. You know what I mean? Getting married, stress, going to a funeral, stress, having a baby, stress, and something not so pleasant is stress. So the point is, I think that's possibly got something to do with not just your situation, but everything. I think the feminine energy is speaking louder, is being more bold, and rightfully so. I think this is part of the balancing of it all in the perfect divine order. And I feel like that might be a factor. I don't know all the details
Indeed.
about that,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, ultimately, no matter what comes, and this is my universe speaking, just me, at the end of the day, no matter what's said, no matter what's done, it all comes back to me. It's my responsibility. It's my responsibility to take responsibility and to take ownership for all the things that I am and that I say I'm not. I mean, I'm everything. I'm either everything. You cannot divorce yourself from any aspect of this universe.
Yeah, indeed, because it's all inclusive. We're a part of every bit of it, indeed. And if I may, I thank you so much for bringing this up about the masculine. It's one thing that I had wrote down here because I did wish to just touch on it a bit in this interview. And as a result, where you could say, if we look at this, that a lot of the divine feminine are taking a seat back now from, let's say, focusing on going forward, that their focus is on other things. What you what you are also seeing is at this time is that the masculine are emerging. Now, what I will do is I need to go to what I'm given. And with this charge, it's been, the ascension charge, it's been the feminine. Approximately 75% is leading us in, to this ascension. It's their immense prowess because of their intact, um, unconditional love. But there needs to be a certain masculine balance. And for intents and purposes, I use, okay, as long as we have 25% masculine, divine masculine in there supporting it, we move forward. But there comes a time, which just did recently, where the feminine went way high, and they are very powerful, and there needs to be times for the masculine to catch up.
Yeah.
So now, part of what Sharon and I did when we were at the master portal, what we said, okay, we did a decree and did our divine work that we need to, at this time, raise more of the masculine so that the feminine can go further yet into the unknown. And what we are seeing the last few days, and Sharon can attest to this because she is also getting confirmation, what we are actually seeing, while you could say the feminine are taking a sort of a rest, is that the masculine are popping up. And one thing that I am one confirmation that I'm having that I'm so grateful of because of the current circumstances that's occurring around I am seeing some males pop up that I have not seen before. And I'm an empath, and I can read energy. And sometimes I don't need to read someone's words. Soon as you look at that name, you know what it is. And what I'm saying is very impressive uh, consciousness, that was there, kind of like they were in the closet, not saying nothing, but we're observing. And with that, they are coming forward. And also when this occurs, because of that huge advancement of the masculine, this also tells you that it's setting up for the feminine very shortly to go forward even further yet. And when I
Hmm.
say go forward even further yet, it's in your prowess and in your divine magic and your abilities to change reality. And that is just, why I am so happy, because I know what is coming with this, and what I'm given for my connection to God, Creator. I'm going to stop saying Father and perhaps say Creator. I know what is going to happen, and that's why I'm so happy with it, because the stage is being set for that next
Yeah.
leap into the beautiful
Well,
unknown. But it's really not unknown. We've been given this information about higher timelines. Many have experienced it. They know it's real, and that's where we're going.
yeah. And, and I think another thing we need to remember, okay, is in anyone, which is everyone, who's received transmissions and downloads, channelings, powerful connections and communions, it elevates the soul, but guess what? It also elevates the ego. That's the straight up truth. Okay. So it's like a pendulum, when that power came in for the masculine and even for the feminine in her times, when it comes in, it's like it swings a little bit, it swings a little bit further than 0 point, and then it comes back, and then it comes back, and then it comes back, and it starts to level off. I keep seeing these comments, and I just I don't, I would want you to I want to be respectful to everyone. I can identify with the energy of some of what's going on just from a telepathic level, I guess. Okay. I've had many things said about me, and my beautiful wife, which really didn't bother me about me, but when they started talking about her, it really pissed me off. And I had to deal with that. And one of the questions that she brought to my attention many times as a wounded masculine on the way up the ladder, but like you said, they've been leading us. That feminine energy has been leading us, and it primarily does fall in line with our physical incarnation, but not necessarily. And even if you are one gender or the other, you're still affected by it all. But my point is, what did I do to create this chaos? What did I do? And I'll give you one quick example. When I was traveling around the country, I had quite a few encounters of women hitting on me. Okay. Uh, I never stepped out. I was committed. When Morgan came the first time, I made a commitment on the day that we decided she would come. And that was a day in my life that, and I was still very, very shadowed, very much so. And I didn't even know it. But she would point out to me, she'd say to me, "Why is this happening to you?" And I'd say, "Well, I'm not doing anything." But something was active in my field. You see, something was active in my field. So even though I was unconscious of it, it was there. I was attracting it. Like begets like. It doesn't mean I was going to go out and philander or anything like that. It just meant that something was out of alignment within me. So, I look at I've learned to look at that. It took me a long time, and we've had a lot of talks about it, and to understand that, we have to get past this human. There's no exceptions. And we have to take a real close look at ourselves and say, what's my part of this? What's my part of this? And that's, we've pretty much seen it kind of go away. It still comes back from time to time. People come after us and that type of thing. But it still gets back to, it's never them. It's always me. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if you can relate to that. I mean, do
Oh,
you?
totally. Yeah. 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 And I have a lot to say on that. And thank you. It's, you always bring up the perfect subjects too and topics. And yeah, right in line. What is occurring is that, yes, we do emit an energy that sometimes we're not conscious of. And, that sometimes that occurs during the course of doing your divine work. Like, for example, and perhaps you are a catalyst, to awaken Kundalinis. you're walking around doing your divine work, but you may be oblivious that you just activated someone's kundalini. And then we have the laws of attraction. Love is a very powerful thing, but because we're still in the humanoid form, you have that sexual energy, which is procreation as well. And from my experience, what I know is that I'm very powerful at emitting and receiving. And I have noticed at different times in the past that sometimes I had to put up stronger guards. I'm working oblivious with ones and got my guards in place, acting to what I consciously know is responsible with great discipline. Because when I work with mostly the females, as I've said before, and when you're trying to teach them higher ways and get them to raise their energies and things, the last thing that I need, Todd, in the way is to be emitting a sexual energy. And I don't do this on purpose, so I have my guards in there. Because if I'm speaking with one on one, through the phone lines, it doesn't matter. I emit energy. I emit it all around the world. I am a powerful creator, and many can attest to this. Many can. And but what the thing is that I put my guards up because you're trying to assist someone, and the energy that I can emit, dependent upon the individual, can be very powerful. That they'll become distracted. They'll be thinking about sex and all of this, and they will not be listening to what I'm saying. So, having said that, I have my guards up, but also there are times that I do leave it there for a little bit because we're working with energy, and these are our tools at assisting others. So, it's very important. So, I practice my what I know of, my utmost discernment with these. But at the end of the day, where we're evolving and in this new age thing, this is all part of your energy and of your power. We are empaths and we're telepathically connected. There is always energetic exchanges. If you shut down your shields, or if you shut down your energy completely, or walk a whole bunch of shields up, you're cutting yourself off also from the collective energy. So you need to use a sort of a discernment to what you need it to be shielded against. Yes,
Yeah.
shields are good. I shared that, but what I'm
Yeah.
saying is that as side effects and residue, yes, there is energy emitted from me because I'm open and I'm all from the heart. And as the divine comrade said here earlier, this is perhaps part of the thing that is going on now, that unconsciously that I am emitting some of this energy. And what,
Well,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah. I mean, everybody does. And I'm going to put everybody on the hot seat right now. Every freaking person here. All right. Um, let's get real. I'm not here to defend you. I don't even know what the hell's going on. I'm looking at these comments wondering, maybe I need to find out. But the
yeah,
thing is this, look, I came off the streets 5.5 years ago. I got on the internet. I started interacting with women. I had a big problem with the divine feminine. I didn't know any of this stuff, and I still don't know anything. But one thing I do know is that from the time I got on, and I didn't know it at the time, I couldn't have explained it at the time, but energy was being felt through messages, through comments, through posts. Energy was being passed, non-physical energy was being passed through people. And I saw it happen with myself, and I saw it happen with many other people. I saw many people say, I just found my soulmate. These interactions would last 2 and 3 days, maybe a week. People were going to get married, and this was going to happen. This is a powerful, sacred sexual energy that is our true nature, that we have all been tainted. We have all been misaligned. No one is at fault, period. And we're all finding our way back to our natural nature, which this is that beautiful, intense power that look, I talked about at the top of the show about what happened with Morgan and I 2-3 nights ago. We've talked openly about the sacred sexual path. We're learning, and we've only seen this much of it. I'm here to tell you that it's mind blowing. It's
Exactly.
absolutely mind blowing. So we're talking about an energy that all of us have been, I mean, we had our memories erased.
Yeah.
You know, we had years and years of suppression, and that suppressed goddess energy is in all of us. And that's the part of us that this world needs, you know, and with that comes that
Exactly.
nurturing, that compassion. Uh, there's nothing like a mother's love. Now, we can even say that in the physical world. A mother's child can go out and do something heinous and get put in prison for life, have video cameras showing the heinous crime, and still will not leave. The love will not leave for that child, you know?
Exactly. And
So,
that's
you
the
know,
most powerful
yeah,
unconditional love. And that's what,
yeah,
for us as males, and I know this is true, we had to integrate that. I had to go and look for it, when I was awakened. I did not even really know what it was, but essentially it's to love unconditionally, love freely. That's where the power is with that. But you put that so beautifully, like, with the sexual energy, it is real. We are going back to the energy, and it's going to be there. And any of the ladies right now that are accusing me of that sexual energy, hey, this is only the beginning. So you need to learn what's going on as well as I am responsible for my energy. And speaking with a couple divine, powerful feminine today, I listen to their suggestions as well. I got to put up, other guards, or in the beginning, if I'm assisting one, to be explicitly clear. There's going to be energy involved with this, and it's not
mhm,
what you may think sometimes. Now, at
mhm.
this point, one of the rumors that is it's really not a rumor, it's true, but what is circulating, but what I wish to touch on is that um, there's a lot of feminine that are coming out with things against I, during the course of my assisting them, whatever it's molesting or which it's not. But one important thing, Todd, is that you know I was embracing, because I always hug, man or women, it doesn't matter. But I was hugging a very powerful female that her Kundalini is activated, and I'm feeling, all the energy, and I'm hugging her. But I said, I got to let you go because I'm getting aroused. And that was not proper. But not proper to get aroused when you're feeling all that energy. So what I do is, I pull back from her, but I'm fully open, and I explain, what was occurring, what the energy was doing. But also, she had that energy as well. It was not only I. Let me say, it was not I that was uh, invoking that. It was that interaction, as you most likely know with Morgan. Once there's a certain quotient of that energy there, you don't have physical control over your body, and with many of the females, they don't. And may I speak freely for what I'm going to say? Because
I think you're doing what you do. That's what it's for. I mean,
okay,
you've
well,
got the
thank you.
courage to
Yeah,
say what you need to say. Say it.
I'm going to say right here, I'm a very powerful empath, and if I'm working with a female and she gets sexually aroused, I feel her wetness. I know if she is sexually aroused as well. It goes beyond the energy. And it's so important for every one of your viewers that's watching this that you also have that ability and you have that effects on others. So it's not only, everyone needs to know what is happening. Again, unintentionally, you may be emitting that, but it goes further. it's projected into the physical the same way, Todd, that you mentioned. You've seen Morgan, reverse the aging process. So you see the energy affects the physical, and these are in the same ways. And these are the most auspicious and beautiful times we are in during this course of discovery, learning more about the energies. So yes, it can be very confusing as well if you don't have the knowledge and the awareness on what is occurring. Now, what has presently occurred as a result of my teachings and interacting with many feminine is what's setting the stage for now is to open this up and expand on it further and make this greater awareness, because there's many females that are, part of this is having your kundalini activated, and there's immense energies with it, and anyone can tell you. And it's very important that everyone is educated and informed on this level, what we are now entering. It's not by chance. Go look in your books, everything that was written here on the planet. How many of you heard about kundalinis 10 years ago? Very few. But look what's occurring now. Energies, kundalinis, and also with your mentality, you are creating. You need to be meticulous with your thoughts, because you can project sexual energy to another. If you're thinking of them in a sexual way, yes, you can. And it's very important to know that.
There, there's a lot in that.
Thank
but
you.
but the thing is, look, that energy is in all of us. There's two parts of that energy, or two faces of that energy, and one of them is the very misaligned, sullied energy, porn, whatever you want to call it. Okay. uh the non-heart sexual energy, and then there's the energy that we are, that we're coming back to, that was taken from us, that was hidden from us. And we can go into the history books and talk about sex magic of the fraternal organizations and the secret societies and all that stuff. I mean, it's all real. The thing is yeah, we're getting used to this. I agree with you. There is, if I were to go back 5 years ago, and I were to encounter beings, uh, sisters that I've encountered, and say in the last 3 years, and have such a connection. These are beloved sisters of mine. All right. I might have gone off the rails. I might have mistook what I was feeling for something that I was used to, because that's where I came from. I mean, I can understand what you're saying, and I applaud you for trying to put this out there. I think that again, it all goes back to, it's never them, it's always me. And I go back to what's just happened with this masculine rising, in that there is a lot of wounded masculine out there. And the wounded masculine energy has been running this world, be it a woman, be it a man. It's affected us all. Yes, it's primarily represented by the male incarnations. Okay. But that still doesn't mean there's a piece, and I've observed it in my sisters. Okay. In some of them. And believe me, I'm still working on my stuff. I'm not picking on anyone. I'm just saying, if there's something that you're seeing that's really rattling you, that's wobbling you, that's making you uncomfortable, and it's represented by a wounded masculine, I would say that it's quite possible that there's a wounded masculine part of you that needs to be healed. I don't know. I don't have all the answers. I don't think anyone has all the answers. I think all we can do is talk about it. I don't really know what's happening. Reading these comments and then some of the things that you've talked about, I kind of get a gist of it. And I go back to really, really what I probably didn't really learn to the point that I'm at now, until Morgan left on March 3rd. And we pulled apart a couple of times. I understood in my communion with the universe that this was me time. This was stepping into my power time. This was I couldn't be concerned about her. I couldn't be concerned about anything, although that sounds kind of weird because it's a divine conscious union. But that's the place, the abyss that the universe takes you to. That's where you're molded, unfolded, and created, you know. And you know, it's a very humbling experience to take on the responsibility for yourself. And I'm still learning how to do it. But I see what the feminine energy has done. I see that she's taken it as far as she can take it. I see the masculine now has available to it and has stepped into this power to meet that force. And maybe the pendulum swung a little far and it was a challenge to our ego. And I can identify with that. And it comes back into balance. And now what's going to happen is what you said at the top of the show. Now she's going to start taking off again. And now the dance continues. You know, I mean, we are coming out of distortion. We're coming out of illusion, of duality, but there is a paradox to it. These are the greatest gifts. This was the purpose why we came, but now we're reaping the rewards, and it's being reciprocated to us. It sounds amazing, but after all we've all been through, and the elevations that we've had, I'm thinking there can be no more important time to have the highest degree of compassion and understanding and empathy, because this is a blameless experience. And as long as there is blame being laid out, I don't give a damn what anyone's done to you. All right. As long as it's being projected outward, you're not healing this realm. You're not healing yourself. You're not healing this universe. And that's what we're here to do. We are divine human beings. We are the darlings of this universe. We've gone through hell literally countless times. We're transmuting this heavy density into the highest form of light this universe has probably ever seen up to this point. And we need to give ourselves some credit in every single person that came here. And we don't have to understand everything. We don't have to understand everything, but there is something behind all of our actions, whatever they may be.
Totally.
You know, somebody molested me. What happened to that person? Instead of that son of a bitch, you know, what happened to that person? They went through the same human experience that I did, or whatever the case is, whatever example you want to use. There's the story behind what we're looking at. And the superficial can easily become the sensational. All right. And we miss the seed. We miss the mustard seed. We miss the origin or the point or the truth behind it, you know. So we got to be careful. We really got to guard our space. And when we do that, we're mirroring self-love, honor, respect, and reverence to everything around us, you know.
And you, yeah, you hit on another very important and crucial point. Yeah, you might have a little aspect deep within you that's not healed, but that will grow, especially in this time, and it will come to the surface if it's something that you need to address for you. Absolutely. But getting back just to the feminine again, I wish to elaborate more on when I say the feminine going forward. The way I perspect that is when the feminine is in high vibration and energized, you know, to a very impressive degree, what the feminine actually does is change the timelines. You begin to get your magic in your 5D, you know, you get closer to it because those are the ones that are they're leading the charge, taking everyone there. So when you have the feminine, when they drop down in vibration, then it shuts down, you know, the thing. It just keeps it stagnant until, you know, there's two parts of the process. It keeps it stagnant until the masculine rises up enough degree out of the slumber and, you know, awaken, that then they go forward and keep creating more of the new with it. So when I say the feminine going forward, what I'm mostly relate that to is building the new higher timelines and setting up the atmosphere for more of the divine truths come in, because the divine truths are with the unconditional love, and the feminine has that key
Yeah.
ingredient to do that. That is foundational, and we need the feminine at the top to do it.
Yeah.
But I speak openly here, ladies that are watching this. When you girls, when you go down into fear or negative modes, what you do is you do lower the entire vibration of the planet. You are that powerful. But having said that, if there's things that you need to clear before you also resume your charge, taking us forward, they will come up for clearing. And my perception right at this time is what's occurring. There were things that were able to uh, negative and fear to control you that brought you down. For you to be the strongest, nothing should bring you down. So you were subjected to some of your, things that you had to clear. I as well, with things that I need to look at. And as Todd said, there's no one here to blame with this. We work together with
Mhm.
this and take things higher. But again, I will emphasize the total importance of the feminine in creating the new. The
Yeah.
feminine has to rise above the negativity and the fear. If not, you would be creating it in the new. And that's
Yeah.
not what we want. We want harmony and love. We don't need this negative realities anymore and the
Well,
dark realities.
and it doesn't matter, man or woman. We can try to bring it up, and it's not coming. Fear and negativity don't exist. They're not coming to the party. But I get what you're saying. I also think a lot about what you said too twice, and that is you take it upon yourself. Because the fact is, what's the difference between me if I stand here and say you need to do this and you need to do that, versus somebody pointing a finger at me and saying you did this and you did that? When really I should be saying, why the hell is this happening to me? What is it in me that I'm not aware of? And that person, in the best interest of the collective and themselves, would serve best to do the same thing. So this is an energy. I still think it's a wounded masculine energy that's affected us all. And if I think about, for instance, if I look at the evolution of Soulogy, there's a lot of energies that come at the energy of
Yeah,
Soulogy,
deep.
and many of the energies of control, of agenda, of serving self, which are not valid and pure. And that's not a judgment, and that's not a good or evil, good or bad situation. It's just a fact. They fall away.
Evaluation.
They fall away. If it's not true, the energy of Soulogy showed Morgan and I am my own energy now. I am capable of sustaining this field of vibration, and I will not allow, you guys are caretakers and there'll be other caretakers and so on, but I'm using this as an example that anything not pure will fall away. And it may
Agreed.
come back, and if it's represented by a person, that person may come back into the fold. I'm not saying Soulogy is anything. All I'm saying is I'm trying to relate that, you know, it's a personal responsibility for all of us. And here's the way I got to the point for myself anyway, the last few months was the more time I spend focusing on so and so and so and so and so and so, the less time I'm spending on me. And you used the term a while ago about moving through it, in some way you said it with more ease and grace or a little quicker. Um, I'm in no rush. I believe in divine timing, but I tell you what, I damn sure don't. I'm tired of being dragged. You know, and if chaos is finding me, then I'm going to work on me. I'm not gonna have conversations with people. I'm gonna have conversations with me and more than likely my beloved because I need that guidance
Well,
because
exactly. Yeah, the
yeah,
communication as well. And with that guidance, as I've mentioned a couple times in the show, I consulted with other higher consciousness ones here in human form as well. You know, let's look at this. And one of the things that, that we got out of that is that, Rick, you're emitting a lot of energy, so I got to take responsibility for that. And to a higher degree, I cannot, because the energies are so much higher, the way that I functioned before, it's not working. So I need to take, let's say, extra measures at projecting that. So yeah, ladies, I'm taking the responsibility, but we gotta, to my degree as well, but we gotta keep all going forward with this and create the magic. We all want the same thing. We want poverty erased. We want children safe. We want everyone in harmony. So we work towards doing that is what I strongly suggest. But if you have your own path that you got to remain in a certain area of a darkness or a light, that is your path and that is your divine place to be. And and I don't make a real judgment on that, but as you know, what I always do, because of what I divinely am, is I always look at everything positive and beneficial, because it always is.
Yeah.
We don't need bad, and that's not where we're going. So
Well,
understand and understand from the everything that occurs, and get knowledgeable on it so you can share it with others. And the quicker we all together get through this.
yeah. Nikki, I don't know if my mic is still cracking. I think I fixed it. I'm sorry about that. Thank you for telling me, Richard. Um, Nikki Hammond was on yesterday, and he was saying that we've reached a point. Everything's changed so much this year. And he said, we've reached a point now where being aware of something is all it takes. Being made aware of something, whether it comes to us in our own epiphany or revelation, or somebody points it out, or whatever the case is, that is all it takes now. He doesn't like the word shadow. He says, we've got to this point now. We don't need to babysit this anymore. We've got it figured out. There's a great comment here, which from our sister Sasha Grace, which I think applies regardless of who said what, did what, whatever. Right? Women will not listen if you take advantage of them. They will listen if you're vulnerable enough to atone what's happened. Otherwise, you're creating more separation. Women won't tolerate this anymore. Now, this is what I was getting at. The wounded masculine, this energy of the masculine coming in does not mean that me, or in my opinion anyway, any other man out there is a full-blown divine masculine. In fact, I don't think anybody on the earth is a full-blown divine, in terms of fully embodying 100% and doing the right thing and
Back
thinking the
to
right
where,
thing every
we need
moment,
to be. Yeah.
that's the thing I think that some of us get lost in, and I have, is that I got to do this, I got to do Soulogy, I got to do Soulogy. Hey, you know what the universe says? Hey, stupid, you got to do Todd. That's what you got to do. And if you want to get clean this world up and clean this universe up and get rid of this pedophilia and get rid of the Vatican's bullshit and all that other stuff, work on Todd, because that's where the alignment starts. That's the core of the universe. But I think that comment she makes reflects, and I thank you for it, Sasha. I think it reflects feelings. It reflects the feelings of the feminine, and it's a natural part of this rebalancing, the recalibration, whatever you want to call it. That is primarily represented by female incarnations, and we all know the history, man. I mean, it's so perception is reality. Somebody said that, and we all have a different perception, but there are two. And Nikki was great yesterday in discussing this. There are two paths that we're talking about here. And I loved what he said, and there's so much respect for him. I think people really understood what he was saying. And he was saying, man, this was the man's path. This is what happened. And he was describing what the man did.
The patriarch, you mean?
Yeah, the man. I mean, he was talking about war.
Yeah.
He was saying, it wasn't a choice back then. You went and joined the army or whatever, because you had to feed your family, and different things like this. All these different things he brought up, and the impact that it had on the male psyche. As the male psyche, he doesn't use divine masculine. He says rising masculine, and I agree with him. Ing. It's a continuum. It's not an ending. We haven't arrived. We're not going to arrive. It's a continue to be an ascending trajectory, and that applies for all of us. But I don't know. It's tricky. It's complicated in a sense. I think the universe is bringing us to a more beautiful, infinite simplicity as the days go by. And I just think that regardless of the situations in all of our lives, the key is unity consciousness. We've all said this is a year of sovereignty. This is a year of expansion, co-creation, collaboration, and support of each other. And I still go back to the same thing, still not knowing fully what's happened, but trying to address the energies is that, we're all going through the same thing. We all showed up. If we got a problem with someone or something, it's the straight up truth, no matter how much we kick and scream. But if we got a problem with something externally, there's a problem in imbalance within ourselves. Something needs some love and recognition.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was listening. No, you're doing great. One thing I wish to say is that, nothing is obtainable. We are creating the new, and, in lines with the masculine, uh, what I deliver and what I teach, and I know that everything is possible. So, no, we come to that equal status, equilibrium of embracing your feminine and your masculine in equal proportions, and this is how we go forward. But yeah, indeed, the masculine, we're heavily conditioned with that degree, and this gets right back to this whole ascension is why the feminine are leading it, because of that unconditional love. The men were, for the most part, they had to be aggressive and protective, which took them away from that unconditional love, because they had to stand up to fight what they thought against things. And really, unconditional love, once you know that full power, you don't need to fight against anything. And the stronger you become, if you go into a fight mode, you're going to energize at this time and create huge monsters for yourself as well. But as you said, it's been a quite a process, and it's still ongoing. We have masses awakening every day, and they need the assistance. If they'll say, what the F is going on? They need someone there to say, hey, okay, there's an ascension occurring. Here's, what you need to know. There's going to be energies. You're going to have profound, weird experiences. All of this, fill them in, because, we're getting a lot more out on the internet, like through venues, what you're doing, Todd, and what many have written over the years. But the fact is that there's so much new stuff occurring that there is little written on it yet, because you get the experiences, then you get a broader understanding of it after the fact. So you need the teachers and the way showers out there that can put, quite a logical discernment on what is occurring for the others to make it easier. You are the way showers. We are the way showers that are doing this work. We are on a course of discovery. And, as you said, Todd, not not one knows everything here, what's going on. We are venturing into unknown territory. And the best way to navigate that is all together and purveying the information and feeding it back to the others that are awakening as a team and as unity.
As I'm reading these comments and listening to you, because we are multidimensional, uh, the word distraction comes up. And it's not about you or them. I'm just saying the word distraction was popping up, and I honor that. And I think to myself, wait a minute. It, we get a hold of these nuggets. We get a hold of these things, these implications, experiences, whatever the case is, and we hold on to them like an ostrich with its head in the sand. Uh, in other words, there's a relevancy to everything, but at some point, has it become a distraction? I'll tell you one thing I don't agree with. As an example, I don't believe in this Nasara thing. I don't believe in the financial bailout, RV. I believe it's a distraction. I believe that many of the programs out there are ascension programs put out by the lesser God, so to speak. This is just me. And the reason I do this, and the reason I bring this myself to this point, is so that I will remain with more of my focus on myself and my mission, because these are distractions. As the spaceship's going to land and take us up, that's a distraction. We are those spaceships. We are the ET family and star family that has visited me and many other people. We are all these essences. We are the Jesus and Magdalene. And let me reiterate that. Okay. We have been handed, they are the Akashic. They are the faces of the Akashic. And we've been handed the football, and they've said, the universe has said, now you've got all of this, expand it. This is what we're doing. And we damn sure can't do it, okay, by pointing the finger of separation, because anytime we point the finger of separation, we are separation. And like it or not, I have to pull up this person or that person and integrate in my heart. And I'm here to tell you, I'm still working on this with people in my life, family members. I am not there. I'm not there, but I'm not going to stop trying. And I think that's one thing we've all got to do, is we've got to continue to have faith in ourselves and in this universe. And I'm here to tell you that every single person outside of in your line of vision is the universe. Period. It's
Yeah,
the
or they wouldn't be here.
Yeah, you're
Exactly.
looking at the universe. So if you're shitting on somebody, you're shitting on yourself. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to curse, but that's just the way it is, man. I mean, and it's not an easy truth to swallow. It's not an easy truth to swallow, especially not in my life. I mean, there's people that have had much more traumatized lives than I have, by far. And to not have any type of ill feeling towards your victimizer or your oppressor, or rapist or molester or whatever, that's a very difficult thing to understand. You know, it's as
It
difficult
is.
to understand for a human being that I have this terminal illness, and my spiritual health is the reason for it, or lack thereof. These are things that we're all coming to terms with. And I just think sometimes we need to step back, take a breath, and say, you know what, he's going through the same thing I have. He signed up for the same trip. She did too. And we've all gone through the same thing. It just looks different on the surface, but it's the same thing. My pain is the same as your pain, proportionate to my life experience and every other element of this, every other aspect of this trip.
Mm. Yeah, there's, so many factors with this, but again, to always leave it open to evolvement. Don't close your mind and arrive at a conclusion or an assumption or a preconceived notion that something is that is truth, because we are in the times again of where truth is changing, and it can, because of the different dimensions and the different frequencies involved, as you keep advancing, what may be your truth one day may change another day once new
That's
knowledge
absolutely right.
is delivered and integrated. Yeah.
That's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. And that includes the highest level transmission we received through yesterday. That includes me seeing Jesus in the tree 7 years ago and having a conversation with him. That
Mhm.
includes anything and everything that's behind us. That's all part of the Akashic now. We are the experience itself. We are the living library. We are expanding the universe in real time in the present moment. I'd like to we got 12 minutes, and I would like to I would like to offer to you anything that you want to say, anything you want to do, and give you the floor with it. And I'm going to be upfront with it. I'd like to conclude this broadcast, and I guess I can do that because I'm sitting in the host chair. I'd like to take us through a blessing, and a prayer of unification, compassion, understanding, and empathy for everybody here on the live, and for my brother here, and for anyone on the replay. But I'd like for you to have the opportunity to say whatever you'd like to say and address whatever you'd like to address.
Well, I'll keep it short, but because of the current circumstances, what I suggest is that any female that feminine that feels violated by if you feel good with it, you can get in contact with me on an individual basis if you feel there'll be any value that comes out of it, to look at what occurred and to just be neutral, so that we can put different perspectives back and forth and evaluate them from a neutral perspective. And so what I'm saying is, I put myself, my genuine self, there for that. I did not intentionally do anything to the feminine, but perhaps there was something that I was oblivious to that did occur. But I mean, instead of having this huge uh, thing against I'm open to, let's look at it and go forward. So that is what I am. I have no fear. I don't conceal anything. You can speak to me to the fullest if you wish, but those are your choices. So that's all I wish to say on that. I'm not saying that I am not to blame for any of it. If I am, what I'm saying is that, I was oblivious. So if there's something else that was coming out, I wish to be informed of it as well, because as a whole, when we put it all together, then we are equipped with a much more broader knowledge base in this now, with the energies that we assist everyone and we go forward. So that is all I wish to say with that. And I thank you so much, Todd, for remaining neutral in the situation, and for giving me, this time to touch on that, because it is so important. So thank you.
Absolutely, you're very welcome. And I think too that uh, and having been under a lot of scrutiny, and a lot of things said about me, and like I said, about Morgan and so on, Soulogy and such, I can understand, and I don't get caught up in it anymore because I've had to deal with it for so long.
Mhm.
Um, I really think I haven't mastered much, much that I would say I have.
Gee, Todd,
I think,
I have to say, I don't wish to see you degrading yourself, man. You have the
I'm not,
utmost
I'm just,
respect.
no, I appreciate that. And I do,
Yeah.
I really do. I don't, I just know that it's limitless. So I try to stay with the ing words, but my point is that I think I've got a pretty good handle on that, that part of it. But there was a time when I would engage, at least in my head. It was less verbally with the person, and it was in my head. And I think, I've really put it out there. I've really sacrificed, and I've done what the universe has led me to do, and it's like all of these 100 points of 100 aspects, let's say, and yeah, I'm not perfect, and this one black aspect has been pulled out and is being thrown in my face. What about the rest of the body of work? And I'm only saying that because just to give people a little bit of reflection. We're all the same. We've all been through the same thing, and we all showed up. So I just want to take this morning. I want to thank you for coming on and having the courage to do what you've done today. And I'm very happy to support that and hold space for that. I'd just like to offer this up for everybody. If you would just join me, I'd like to offer this up to the universe, the you, me, we, and it, all the things known and unknown. Uh, Thank you for getting us this far. Uh, Thank you for the flower of life. For the connectivity that we all have. Thank you for the increasing telepathy, the increasing clarity. May we continue to co-create, support, and collaborate with each other, and to have a higher degree of compassion and empathy and love and honor and courage and reverence, and that we may be more forgiving of ourselves and others, and to continue to wipe the slate clean every single day and leave our successes and so-called failures behind us and start anew with the new Akashic as we wake up every morning, and to expand it on behalf of Mother Universe and all of our brothers and sisters in love and light. And so it is. Thank you. It is done. And thank you for the show today, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow with 3 shows. Thank you very much, Rick Jewers. I look forward to collaborating with you again down the road. And best of luck to you and your beautiful Sharon.
And thank you so much, and the same to you and Morgan. And thank you for this, Todd. And perhaps in the near future we'll get together again, my friend. So much love, brother, and to all the viewers as well. Have an awesome evening. Thank you.
You take care, Rick.
You as well, brother.